Good afternoon to Dr. Razak and my fellow friends. Today, we will discuss on our group assignment for Principle of Economics. That we choose for the economic indicator is based on inflation and employment. I will pass up to my friend that will discuss on the introduction for inflation and also unemployment.
My name is RUBASHINI, Doctor of KANNIAPPEN. My metric card number is AP220535. So today I want to present about introduction for inflation. So first of all, in Malaysia, inflation is defined as a long-term increase in the overall price level of goods and services which affects investment, savings and income distribution. The second, understanding the link between inflation and unemployment is critical for policymakers who want to develop successful economic strategies. So that understanding inflation is critical for policymakers designing and implementing successful monetary policies because it helps them regulate the money supply and interest rates efficiently. So, inflation measurement and indicators such as the CPI, PPI and GDP developer are critical tools for policymakers in correctly assessing the status of economy and making educated choices. Inflation has important economic consequences such as diminishing buying power, raising production costs and redistributing wealth. So, according to the Phillips curve theory, there is a trade-off between inflation and unemployment in the short run, but there is no meaningful relationship between the variables in the long run. So, that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Uthm. Today I'm going to take over the introduction part of unemployment. The definition of unemployment in Malaysia. Unemployment is defined as a lack of employment options for those who want to work. It influences well-being, productivity, and total economic growth. The link between inflation and unemployment. The Phillips curve shows that the high inflation leads to a low unemployment. This link is not always stable and can be altered by variables like supply shocks or changes in government policy. The policymaker considerations. Policymakers need to understand the complicated links between inflation and unemployment to develop successful economic strategy. They should make educated judgment considering their unique content and dynamic. The policymaker aims to balance inflation management with job creations. Unemployment can lead to financial difficulties, mental health issues, and social isolations. It can hurt self-esteem, contribute to poverty, income disparity, and social unrest. Next part is measurements and indicator. Policymakers use the tools such as CPI, PPI, and GDP deflector, unemployment measurement and indicator to assess the status of economy. Type of the unemployment. The different type of unemployment such as frictional, structural, and cyclical have different causes and effects on the economy and society. For the long-run perspective, according to the Phillips curve theory, there is a trade-off between inflation and unemployment in the short run, but not meaningful relationship in the long run. The critics argue that the theory may fail to account for structural change in economy. Dynamic relationship. Economy and unemployment have a dynamic relationship that can alter over time. Policymakers should regularly evaluate and revise their tactics to maintain economic stability and prosperity. Now I will pass my part to a next person.
Thank you for my fellow friends that I will proceed for my presentation. So I will proceed on the discussion about inflation and also employment that will give effects on the market and also firms. with the market structure type. So first we're talking about inflation. So they have many goods or bad effects when it comes to inflation due to their business, depending on their industry or market, supply chain, debt owed, customer demand, and also employees' productivity. Although this type of indicator is also considered as a negative one when starting their own business. So the negative effects will be, firstly, is the cost of raw material will be increased due to the because when their company needs to manufacture the specific product and also restock on their shelf will affect the cost of their inventory, whether the price is increasing, such as the price of the raw material like rubber or wood will be increased, meaning it will increasing their costs. Second will be the overhead and also inventory costs will be increased, meaning that if the inflation happens, goes up, meaning that if a higher inflation happens, meaning the cost of everything will be more higher, such as the utilities, rent, and also employees' wages will drive up their organization overheads. Not only that, if the inventory price will also increase, meaning that the delivery cost will be also increased. For example, if I want to produce iPhone 15, meaning that my cost to create an iPhone 15 will be more expensive because due to the inflation. That's for the overhead. And lastly will be the interest rate will be increased. Not only that, because interest rate is the main tool to fight inflation, because high interest rate will make the borrowing money to reduce their inflation, meaning that more expensive. But also higher interest rate will give higher costs of borrowing for capital, working capital, and on their investing on their future, meaning that will cause the inflation goes up. That will cause the inflation to goes up, because inflation had many other negativities, such as when if the interest rate, for example, if the interest rate goes up from 4% to 6%, but it goes up again from 6% to how many percent it goes up, meaning that people who borrowing money from the banks itself for their investment in the future will be more expensive than other of the interest rate. So not only that, it also inflation can give the negative effects, but also high inflation also gives the positive effect, such as it can help to margin improve their existing inventory, making all debt cheaper and also increase their employees' costs. So the market structure type that causing inflation is oligopoly. So what is oligopoly? Oligopoly was actually means that if the consumer often experience the higher price of goods within the market control, means that the newer firms will offer the lower price, might not continue accept on this condition, and consumer might only just know about the large firms with large advertising budget. Meaning is that, for example, if their company wants to compete their higher price on their product, meaning that the other company will not gonna follow the flow. It's expected to fight their own perfect competition. For example, let's compare with Pepsi and also Coca-Cola company. If the Coca-Cola, there's a news about the Coca-Cola company, about their price that continuously goes up, meaning is that when the price of Coca-Cola goes up, meaning is that the Coca-Cola news that they need to give the revenue goes up, meaning that the PepsiCo will be on hold to know the price will be increased or not to be increased. Meaning is that if the price of Coca-Cola decrease, meaning is that the other competitors such as the PepsiCo or Mountain Dew will follow up the same flow, but the level of competition is relatively low. So meaning is that if the price of Coca-Cola goes up, meaning that it will be a perfect competition for other competitors. such as PepsiCo. For example, if many people saw that Coca-Cola is more appetizing, meaning that more attractive on Coca-Cola, even the prices goes up, meaning that people will buy more Coca-Cola instead of Pepsi. That's why Pepsi doesn't want to follow on Coca-Cola, because the price goes up. So Pepsi doesn't want to give the risk. So they will on hold, meaning that they will not gonna follow. So that is why Coca-Cola has also faced up with the inflation on their price for the Coca-Cola itself, because the price of the Coca-Cola goes up every year. So Pepsi knew that the inflation will cause the Coca-Cola will drop, even though the Coca-Cola's revenue goes up. So that's the market structure type for causing the inflation, that is for oligopoly. It just same goes to Petronas. When the Petronas, when the petrol gas for the Petronas goes up, meaning is that a lot of people will, when people use Petronas petrol gas, even the price goes up, even the revenue is also goes up. So it doesn't give any effects on anything due to the inflation. So that's for oligopoly. So next, we are talking about, we will discuss on employment for our discussion. What was the effects on the firms and also market with the market structure type. So for this macroeconomy indicators such as the unemployment, it also affects when the business may has caused many reasons, comes from both demand side or employees or the supply side. Firstly, the demand side reduction may have caused a higher interest rate, meaning that they have a global recession and also financial crisis. And secondly, the supply side, that is a frictional employment and structural employment play a great role. So the negative effects on the unemployment is the wages cost will be lowered. This is because if this issue comes to effect, meaning that it will increase their supply of labor that is available for the firms to employ them. It will create a downside, meaning that it creates downwards pressure on wages as labor that is less scarce, and also more people to participate to get their job in their lower wages, meaning that there will be less interest for the employees if the wages they are giving is very low. So that's why the wages cost will be lowered. Wages cost will be lowered because of people are less interest on their wages from the employee. That's why it comes to effect on the employment. So secondly, it will be training costs will be high because many firms are depending on low wages because the employment, even many firms are also spend more costs and resource on their training session for their new employees, since they have been out of work in a long period of time. Meaning that if the employment cost to happen, means that they already been spent a lot of money to make this session for the new employees for their training before when they go to work. So that's the effects when if the employees doesn't come to the training session, means the cost of the training session will be more higher. And the thirdly will be the I haven't add on the slide, but I will slide it on. That is, the third one will be the tax revenue will be decreased. So the tax revenue will be decreased because of many people work on many companies have been fired or retired because of the lost employees, meaning that the tax revenue will be more higher. Not higher, meaning it's a decrease because some of the company they are firing many of the workers and also retire, meaning is that less employees to work on that company, on that same company, meaning that they receive less taxes revenue and also large impact on the government finance. And also The next will be the standard of living are low. Standard of living are low, meaning that if the employment comes to the end, so many of the people who suffer or also who are unemployed will suffer a loss of income, or either have to survive, either to survive on their own saving, meaning that it will be difficult for the people who are lost their job to buy a necessary good to survive and see the downfall on their standard life. And also last will be the loss of skill of working, meaning that if people who are unemployed, meaning that they have low on skill on their working, on their company and also industry, because less employable of the firms, less employable for their firms, since the firms need to spend on money on their retraining their working session. So that's the meaning for our negative effects on their employment, because loss of skills meaning that less people who are working on their industry. So the market structure type that cause employment is a monopolistic competition. So monopolistic competition is based on fast food. So based on fast food, for example, because what I choose is a fast food industry such as McDonald's, KFC, and so on, because under the monopolistic competition, expenditure such as the idle capacity can lead to this effect, because non-delivery of raw material shortage and also skilled labor and lack of sale demands. That's why I mentioned about the fast food chain that also talks about this market structure type. Example such as the anti-Israel boycotts that can affect on the employees from any fast food chain or the fast food industry to lose their job. Meaning, for example, such as McDonald's, Starbucks, or KFC, that almost a million of workers from fast food chain, as well as the food delivery workers, are losing their job because of the boycotts for the anti-Israel that affects a lot of their profit and also in business. I will give to my fellow friends to talk about their conclusion and also recommendation for this discussion. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is NADIAH binti Muhammad FADHLIAN. As we wrap out our discussion on the impact of macroeconomic indicator on business, let's state the key takeaway into a conclusion. First, inflation can be a double-edged sword where it brings the challenge like increased cost and reduced consumer purchasing power. It also presents opportunity for revenue growth and improved margin. So, smart strategies are effective supply chain management, rigorous cost control, and dynamic pricing are crucial for navigating the challenge successfully. Within certain market structure, especially oligopoly, the impact of inflation is significantly pronounced. The pricing power held by lag allows fear at a layer of complexity that require business to be even more strategic in their response. Shifting focus to employee challenge, business need to invest in their workforce. This involves initiatives like employee training, adopting flexible wage policy, and implementing revenue boosting strategy. Social responsibility is also key. Collaboration with industry peers and voluntary adaptability within the organization contribute to overcome the challenge. Beyond the business realm, contribute to local community and supporting workforce development alternative create a more resilient and skilled labor force. It's a win-win situation that benefits both business and the community they operate in. In conclusion, business must be nimble and strategic in their response to macroeconomic indicators. Flexibility and cooperation are not just survival tactics but the key to thriving in dynamic environment. Remember that adaptability is the hallmark of the resilience. Thank you for joining me on this exploration the intricate relationship between macroeconomic indicator and business. They are for us. Thank you.
Recommendations. First, prevent inflation. Number 1. Giving supply chain management efficiently. Strengthen the supply chain relationship and negotiate long-term contracts with supplier to secure stable prices for raw materials. They should try to search for more sources of raw materials to reduce dependency on a single supplier or region. Number 2. Cost management. Implement cost-cutting measures without affect product quality. Try to invest on many technology that can improve efficiency and reduce the operational costs. Number 3. Pricing strategies. Dynamic pricing strategies can be adjusted based on market conditions and allowing flexibility during inflation. They should try to tell their customers about the price adjustment and focusing on their product and service value. Next is prevent unemployment. Number 1. Investing in employee training and development. Provide training programs to improve their skills and adapt to changing job requirements. Try offer skill building to help the unemployed to search for jobs on specific skills. Number 2. Expand more revenue. Expand business operations and explore new markets. This is to stay agile and adapt their business to the trend and ensure long sustainability. Number 3. Collaboration with industry peers. Address common challenges related to unemployment, sharing best practices, and collectively working toward solutions. They should try to communicate to each other about the solutions on the unemployment that can benefit them.